All right, welcome everybody. I think everyone should have a pretty good idea of who I am. If not, my name's Alex Rogers. I was a Navy SEAL for 12 years. I got out last May, and since then I've been building up this coaching program. I'm a father of two. I have a master's degree in strategic leadership and undergrad in organizational leadership. I compete professionally in jiu-jitsu. I started a podcast. I got a couple other things going on as well. And this is one of the modules that I have created for my coaching program. I've got about probably 20 or so PowerPoints presentations, which you're going to see. One of them coming up pretty soon. This one, of course, is on mindset. Um, and so this is just kind of a teaser of what I got going on. I'm sure you're going to take a lot away from this. I'm going to give you the same exact presentation and quality and content that I would if you were one of my paying clients, someone that I worked one-on-one with. So don't think that this is just like a watered down version. So whatever you see is what you get, and what you would get if you were to work with me in the future. So everything I'm about to teach you isn't theory. It's the exact system that we use to select and build some of the most elite operators in the world. It's trainable, and that's the whole point of today. All right. So I want to welcome you all to the room. Thank you for being here. Thank you especially to Dibs. I know you put out a lot of um, effort into getting people to sign on to this, so I really appreciate that as well.
No, Mama.
Um, all right, let's jump into this. So before we just I start a couple things before we start the actual PowerPoint presentation. Um, so excuse me. My coaching is based on from chaos to command and the 5F framework that I came up with. That's faith, family and relationships, fitness, finances, and future. And then within that is kind of the operator protocol. And again, you do not have to be an operator. You don't have to be a former operator. You don't have to be anything to do with the military whatsoever. You could literally have teal hair and work at Starbucks. I don't care. It's just that's the terminology I use because that makes the most sense to me. Um, so we have four different stages in the operator protocol. And again, it depends on the length of the program that you choose, if you do choose to work with me, but it just depends on how long and how in depth that we go into those four phases. So the first is recon, then reset, rebuild, redeploy. And then we're going to talk about what transformation looks like at a high level. Okay. So again, and then this is just a quick teaser of what working with me actually looks like, the format, the cadence, and again, who it's for. This is for anybody and everybody, but that doesn't mean it's for anybody and everybody. I'm very selective about who I work with. And that really just comes down to how much effort and commitment you're going to give me, if you're going to put out, if you're going to do the things that I tell you. Because again, I'm delivering transformation and results. I'm not just taking on every random person who wants to throw money at me because honestly, I don't need money that bad. And I want to work with people who want to be high performers and elevate themselves, not just say that they pay a former Navy SEAL to talk to them. There's other guys you can do to do that. All right. So, um, before we get into the actual presentation, I will give breaks to ask questions. But please, if you do have a question, just put it in the chat and I'll address it, or I'll stop and pause to ask any questions or answer any questions that you have. So before we get started, does anyone have a question? Okay. All right. Let me share my screen. And we'll get right into the mindset portion. If I can figure out how to do this. Um, 1 second. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you can see that. Cool. All right. So mindset is a trained skill. It's not a feeling. It can be trained, it can be measured, it can be practiced, it can be improved. All right. Um, Before we get going to one of my favorite books on mindset is it's by Dr. Carol Dweck. I think it's Dweck. She talks about the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset and how you can apply those in different areas of your life. You might be growth mindset in a certain sense, like maybe it's a skill or a technique that you do, whether that's jujitsu, working out, shooting, driving, writing, whatever. And then you might have a fixed mindset when it comes to your emotional stuff. Like, I know what's going on. I figured this all out. I read this book on communication, therefore I'm set. So, it's really about opening up everything, and that book is really great. She does a really wonderful job of breaking these things down. So I would definitely check that one out. It's a really short read. I think it's probably 250, 300 pages at most, but big font. So it's super easy if you want to read it, or just pop it into Audible. Um, it's a good one. So, all right. Mission brief. So this is again what we're going to go over. Number one, understand that mindset is a trained tool or skill. It's not a mood, it's not a trait or something that you're waiting to feel. That's probably leans a little bit more into motivation, something that you feel. Mindset is a constant, it's a foundational thing. Number two, we're going to install the big four. We'll break those down later on, so I won't go into them just yet. But this is the same sort of mental toughness system that we used in Buds, as well as through our fall-on training, getting ready for deployment, on deployment, everything like that when I was a SEAL. Then number three, leave it with one field order. This will be, I guess you could call it homework, but a specific controllable practice that you can starting tomorrow. That's why we're doing this on a Sunday evening, so that you can take this, reflect on it tonight, let it soak in, let it marinate, and then tomorrow morning, you know, apply these things. So, if you're taking notes, awesome. If not, probably should do that. Again, this will be recorded though. I will upload this to YouTube tonight when this is all done. All right. Mindset is not motivation. Again, that's why I said a little bit earlier. Motivation is something that you can feel, and feelings, as probably all of us know, are unreliable. They show up when they want, and they leave the same way. What is going on with this? One second. Can't see my mouse. Anyway, mindset is a set of trained mental skills you can run on command regardless of how you feel. All right, that's the difference between someone who performs when it's convenient and someone who performs when it's, optional or whatever. If it can be trained, it can be measured, practiced, and improved. All right, then we have the recruit mind versus the operator mind. Again, this goes back to, this is just some military terminology. I think everyone understands what a recruit mind is. That's something when you're just starting out, you don't really know what's going on. You're trying to find your feet underneath you. So in recruit mind, again, that's kind of that fixed mindset in regards to the Carol Dweck book that I mentioned. You're going to try to protect your ego. You're going to avoid feedback because maybe you don't like what you're going to hear, what you know that the truth is, um, and you just want to shell up. You wait to feel ready. That means like, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to go to the gym. So maybe I'll put on a David Goggins YouTube video or drink some pre-workout or whatever. And again, those things are great. They'll get you where you need to go eventually, but that's not exactly this a strong bulletproof mindset, because again, are you going to always have access to YouTube or pre-workout to go, smash your workout? Are you going to be around the right people to push you to do what you need to do? No. That's where mindset comes in, because it's just always there. You're going to quit when it's fair to quit. We don't quit, so I'm not going to address that. See setbacks as verdicts. A setback doesn't do anything except for position you to continue forward. All right, so that's what brings us over to the operator mind. An operator mind, you protect the mission, whatever that is, whether that's finances, whether that's family, whether that's fitness, your plan for the future, whatever your faith, whatever it is, you protect that. You hunt feedback. Again, make sure you're picking the right people to get feedback from. Don't pick some goofball who's never done anything that you want to do because they're not going to have any feedback for you, right? You might have somebody who's like, "Hey, did you do this today?" And they do a quick shallow check-in with you, and that's great. But really go after someone who knows what they're talking about, has been there, done that, experienced it, fallen on their face multiple times, fallen forward, and then got back up and kept going, right? You want feedback from people who could actually help you and advance you. That's why part of my coaching methodology of the 5 F's is finding you a mentor within those each of those 5 F's. Like, for example, for the finance, maybe you have a CPA or a banker friend or someone who's into investing. That's who you lean on for that. You know, someone who's into whether it's CrossFit or martial arts or bodybuilding or dare I say high rocks for the fitness aspect. Maybe it's a therapist or a counselor for the relationships and the family stuff, et cetera. You get the point. Um, Acts, letting feeling catch up, right? We're gonna do things just because we know they're the right thing to do. We don't need to wait to feel the time to do it. Um, Quitting, again, like I said earlier, you don't quit, but maybe sometimes you do. Sometimes you do need to throw in the towel. So you can live to fight another day. You can reassess, re-equip, and then get back out there and re-engage, whatever that problem is. Right. And again, see setbacks as data. So if you say you did quit, make sure you learn whatever it is that you need to do so that it's not really a quit. It's like, all right, this is just a pause to go back because you have that information to go forward. All right, the big four. This is your goal setting. It's where you do your mental rehearsal. These are some things we used in Buds as well, and pretty much any high stress environment where performance is required. So you have goal setting, controllable process level targets. You probably heard the SMART approach. Mental rehearsal, again, running it through your mind, visualizing it, drawing it out, vision board, that sort of thing, like imagining these things happening. Self-talk. Self-talk can be positive, it can be negative, it can be whatever, but it's that internal voice that's inside of you. And then you have arousal control, and that's regulating your stress. There's a couple different ways you can do that. Well, there's probably thousands of ways to do that. There's a couple ways that I like to do it. That would be probably the box breathing, inhale 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and then hold at the bottom, empty lungs for 4 seconds. That's a really great way to do that if you're new into breath work. Some other things I use to ground myself. I like you can grab your earlobes like this and just kind of pull them apart for about 4 or 5 seconds. Release, again, nice deep slow breaths, preferably through your nose if you can, and then just do that a few times. Another great way to kind of bring yourself down, call it the self hug. Let's see if the camera can catch it, but I'll stick my arms out like this, interlace my fingers, pull it in to my chest, and then so I have my left arm is over my right arm. So then I will take my right leg and put it over my left leg, and I'm sitting. So then I'll just do this. This is called a self hug. This is a really good way to kind of bring yourself down in, to to calm your mind and body a little bit as well. There's a ton of other things. Um, some of these things, though, will happen when you're not in the comfort of your own home alone. So you could do the box breathing out in public. You could just, go to grab your thing and just kind of get a little tug. Another great thing that you could do, and this works with kids as well. If anyone in here has young kids that kind of freak out over time, you can take an ice cube, put it in your hand, and just hold it in there. If you're at a bar and somebody does something that you don't like, or a restaurant, whatever, take an ice cube out of your cup, put it in your hand, walk to the bathroom. It's a great way to kind of bring it down. Ice or coldness on any part of your body that doesn't naturally have hair um, will help this as well. That's why you see a lot of like combat sports athletes in between rounds, they'll put ice, or their coach, their corner will put ice on the back of their neck, um, because most people don't have a lot of hair back there anyway. So just a couple different things that you can do, that I do regularly. Again, there's a ton of different stuff. YouTube is and Google are your best friends when it comes to this if you don't like those things that I just said. But again, this is just planting some seeds of different things that work. Um, all right, goal setting. Number one, this is short-term controllable process goals that chain into the outcome. Um, like it's not like, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds. It's breaking this stuff down into hitting, your macros or hitting your workouts one at a time, right? Today's goal is, you know, back and buys or whatever. And then you have your workout breakdown. I'm sure Dibs can go in a lot deeper detail into, scheduling a workout like that. If that's what you're into, maybe it's you want to go be win a championship at some jujitsu tournament. That's something that I would consider a goal of mine, but I can't just say that. How am I going to approach that? What am I going to do? I'm going to break it down to the smallest measurable, actionable, realistic goals that I can, in a timely fashion. Again, that's what smart goal setting is. Um, so in the field, Buds instructors never let recruits look at Hell Week as a whole. It's broken into the next evolution, the next meal, the next 5 minutes, nothing bigger. So, Buds is probably the very extreme version of this, but maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't, but that was a thing that people used to always say, just make it to the next meal. In Buds, we got fed every 6 hours, no matter what, whether we were at the chow hall, um, or we were eating an MRE in the water on the beach. It didn't really matter. We were always making it, getting to eat every 6 hours. So maybe you've heard the saying also, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So make sure you're not setting goals that are too far ahead of you and they're not laid out with steps. Break everything down. Don't look at the big scary thing that's coming up because that's most likely how you're going to quit or not give your best efforts. So Monday move again, it's Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in. I'm going to ask that each of you, again, do not share this. This is not for me. This is not for anyone in here. This is for you personally. So again, whether you do it or no, doesn't really affect me. But this is what I would ask is that you pick one outcome goal and then pick the three processes that you can fully control this week and see how that works out. Maybe this is something you do, maybe it's not, but I would suggest trying that. And it could be something really simple. Like I want to eat X amount of protein grams per day. It could be I want to walk 3 miles a day for the next 2 days. It could be something really simple like that. Maybe it's I want to text my, my sister, my brother, my grandparents, whatever. All right, mental rehearsal. Pillar two, running the mission in your head before you run it in reality, including the moment it all goes wrong. So again, visualize these things, play it back, play it over in your head so that you can see it happening, you can plan it out. There's less room for error, there's contingencies, things that go wrong. You've already visualized them coming to you and how you can um, mitigate those or overcome them if they do show up. Um, so in the field example, before a dive or a breach, operators walk the entire sequence mentally, the plan, the friction point, and the recovery. The brain doesn't fully distinguish vivid rehearsal from the real event. So I've been looking into manifestation recently, visualizing things, and if you want something, you want it to, whether it's a new car, a new house, new relationship, new pair of shoes, it doesn't matter. You have to visualize those things over and over and over and make it a reality. Because if I asked you to describe an event that happened yesterday, you could tell me without any hesitation what it was like. Tell me about your workout at the gym yesterday. Tell me what the drive to work was. Tell me what, the barbecue on this Saturday at the neighbor's house was like. You could describe that to me, right? So now take that same exact framework and definition and detail of yesterday's events and apply it to something from 3 months from now or from 6 months from now. You're describing something in the same way that you would something that already happened, that like you're rehearsing this in your mind. This might sound a little weird, a little cuckoo. When I first heard it, I was like, that's kind of funky. But again, your brain doesn't just can't distinguish a vivid rehearsal from a real event. So if you are talking about things as if they've already happened, that's truly how you manifest things and you make things happen. There's a lot of research that's gone into this from what I've seen off of YouTube. So it's more of a trust me, bro, but I do believe this to be true because I've done this in the past. I've visualized events in my head and made them happen almost, probably within 90% accuracy. One of my favorite examples of this is if you look up, you can watch this on YouTube also, Conor McGregor before in the locker room before he fought Jose Aldo, way back when he wasn't broken every time he stepped in the ring. He visualized that step like overhand left where he knocked Jose Aldo out. He you just there's um, CCTV like footage of him in the locker room visualizing this thing, and he went out there and he did it exactly to that. There's other things. He's probably my favorite person to reference when it comes to this, is because some of the things he has visualized. There's videos of him when he was a young, like acne covered dude living in his parents' attic, talking about the things he was going to have and how he did it. He talked about them as if he already did, and it took him, you know, 8, 9 years to get these things, but almost every single thing he said he was going to have, he did have because he described these visions as if they were memories. So this is not something to just scoff off and not pay attention to. This is real stuff. It's just how serious do you take it and how much do you do it? Okay. So again, another Monday move for you. Um, Before your hardest task this week, spend 90 seconds or so to yourself to plan it out, execute it. Okay. And then you can plan out if something doesn't happen, like, oh, I want to hit X amount of grams per day of protein. What happens when, you forgot your protein shake at the house? Do you stop at the gas station and get a Core Power milkshake, or do you just say, whatever, I'll try it tomorrow. I'm going to get this bag of M&Ms with peanuts because it's got 10 grams of protein in it versus the 35 that I need. Right. So plan out stuff like that. All right. Number three, self-talk. This is the internal voice that you run when you're under load. It's fully controllable because it's your voice and it will directly drive your performance. Whether you say you can or can't, you're right. Right? I think Henry Ford said that. So this is the same thing. It's just, you're saying it to yourself, whatever it is. Okay. Um, another thing is Another field example, excuse me, is in the field. Instructors listen for recruits' self-talk during Help Week. People that complain, say, I can't, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. They're going to come after you. Okay, they're gonna highlight those things. They're gonna question you. They're gonna try to get in your head. It's a selection phase, you know, outside of buds, not many things is, unless you're in the military going through a selection course. But if it's starting your own business, going to the gym, reading a book, having a hard conversation, whether you believe you can or you can't is the reality of it. Okay. So Monday move again, catch one, I can't this week and replace it. again, whatever that is, whether it's a gym thing or a relationship thing, whatever, like believe that you can, tell yourself that you can, visualize that you can, talk about it happening as if it already did, right? Let's reaffirm ourselves every day with positive self-talk. All right, last one, pillar four. This is arousal control. This is regulating your physiological state on command so that stress doesn't run the show. Um, like in another in the field example, the box breathing. Again, that's the 4 seconds in, 4 second hold, 4 second out, and then 4 second hold at the bottom. This is a standard protocol before high stress evolutions, especially I think I use this the most during dive phase when you're going underwater and they're simulating surf hits of like getting tossed and turned around in the waves and you're hypoxic, can't really breathe and all that. So before we get into the water at the pool, where a lot of guys are sitting there just silently, not talking at all, just doing their box breathing. And I've done this before competitions. I've done this before entering rooms, whether that's, a training environment overseas or literally entering a room into an environment or a group of people that I'm not necessarily comfortable doing. This will kind of help regulate that as well. Again, Monday move, maybe try this out. There's again a ton of different breath work things you can do. I like the box breathing. It's super easy. You don't have to count 4 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds. It's just the same thing every single time. If you want to get real wild with it, I've been playing with alternating nasal breathing. So I take my these two fingers here, and then I'll put a thumb on one nostril and then the ring finger on the other, and I'll breathe in with so I'll have it here. I'll plug my right, breathe in with my left, plug my left, and then breathe out of my right. And I'll do that, 12 times, and then I'll switch nostrils, and that'll wake up that brain a little bit too. And it helps you be a little more present and mindful because you're thinking about your breathing and not that stupid text message you just got or the goofball that just cut you off in the parking lot. Okay. Because you can do these things with driving and they're safe as well. If you crash, do not sue me. I'm not liable for that. All right. The trap, waiting to feel ready. Confidence is a result. It is not a requirement. Most people wait until they feel ready, they feel confident, they feel motivated before they act. I mean, that moment's rarely going to come. It's really going to get scheduled, and waiting for it is how good plans die on the staging area, right? Again, if you're waiting to find the perfect reel to get you super motivated on Instagram to go to the gym or to wake up or whatever, it's, it's one in a million, if that. Um, so you got to do it the opposite way. You got to act first on command, regardless of the feeling, and let that confidence carry you over. Every rep of that sequence trains the nervous system so the action comes first, right? It's the mindset, it's the discipline. Motivation is fickle, it's not real. Um, and trying to just wait till you're motivated is just it's only going to get you so far. Live drill. Work these out loud right now, not hypothetically. Again, you can write, you don't have to, well, I mean, you're all pretty much muted, so you could say it out loud if you want. But what's one goal you've been carrying that has no process goals underneath it, right? What does self-talk actually sound like in the last 10 minutes of a hard week? Where in your week could box breathing or any other breath work for that matter get used for real? Not someday, this week. Because last time I checked, someday is not on my calendar, so I'm highly doubting it's on any of yours as well. All right. commitment. So daily 90 seconds of mental rehearsal before the day's hardest task. And that could be waking up, right? Maybe your alarm went off and you don't want to get your ass out of bed and go to work or go do your morning routine, which is mobility and some push-ups, some air squats or whatever. Um, so mentally rehearse that and before you get out in there, do it. Weekly goal, write one written outcome goal and then three process goals underneath it. Again, like, oh, I want to hit my protein goal. How am I going to do that? Am I going to meal prep? Am I going to stop at the 7-Eleven and get the protein shake? Am I going to make this? Whatever. Doesn't matter. Just write, like, have your main goal, and then what are you going to do? That's basically the steps that you're going to take to get that. Okay. And then on demand, 4 rounds of box breathing before your highest stress moment. Um, if you have a hectic work schedule and then you're coming home, and that could before you go in and see your significant other, your partner, your kids, your dog, whatever, maybe you take a pause. I mean, 4 rounds of box breathing. What, one round is 16 seconds times four. That's literally, what is that? A minute, 4 seconds. Um, that's quick math right there. I think that's what that is. So, I think all of you can take a minute and 4 seconds to do some box breathing and just see how you feel. All right, the big four. Again, that's goal setting, mental rehearsal, self-talk, and then arousal control. Again, mindset is not trained, or mindset is trained, sorry, it's not found, right? Um, all right, I think that's all there. I'll come back to my screen here. Okay, cool. Um, that's pretty much what I got going on here. Let me check this chat. Looks like somebody messaged in there. Greg here. Action and then confidence. All right. You can unmute if you guys want, and then we can kind of do some Q&A for a little bit. That went a little bit faster than I thought it was, probably because no one talked, which was really nice. So fire away.
Can you elaborate more on the action first and then confidence? So you're saying basically like if you're not confident in something, take the action on it, and then as you're doing it, the confidence will be there.
Essentially, yeah, maybe you've heard fake it till you make it. Just smile, just do something with a smile on your face, and you'll start to believe what's going on. You know, in regards to the buds metaphors and bud stories. I remember there was one time we were doing the boats on heads, which if you guys don't know, it's like a 3 mile run down to the demo pits in Coronado on the soft stand, and you're in a boat crew of like 5 to 6 guys. And I remember I had read something somewhere about like if you're having a really tough time, just smile and it tricks your brain into creating those endorphins, makes you feel better. And a lot of things people used to say in buds was just fake it till you make it, fake it till you make it. And you just start smiling, and then again, like people look at you, they don't know that that smile is like you're gritting through some pain, whatever. They're look at you like, oh, he believes in himself. I'm gonna leave him alone. Because the last thing you want is a bunch of buds instructors yelling at you and screaming at you to quit or whatever, or calling you, weak or whatever because then other people are going to feed off of that. That's what everything you do in that sense is extremely exaggerated. Whether you're feeling good, that's going to make people feel good, feel confident in your ability. If they start seeing weakness, like that is just blood in the water for a bunch of sharks. So, if you're struggling with something, just start doing it more and you'll build some confidence. No one shoots out of the womb and being like, I'm so good at this and I'm really confident at this. Everything that you do has to be built like blocks, and you're going to stack up and you're going to reach new heights the more and more you do something, um, you know, if you've done something 1,000 times and somebody asks you to do it, you're gonna think wouldn't you're not even gonna think, you're just gonna do it, right? If somebody's like, hey, go do this, and you're like, I've never really done that before, you're probably gonna, at least doubt yourself. Maybe you'll still go and crush it, but but that's not confidence. That's just like you're not gonna quit, or you believe in yourself to perform, but you might not feel confident in it. And I think there's a difference between doing something, doing it well, and then doing something confident as well as doing something well. Does that make sense? Yeah. So again, but I think you build confidence by doing things over and over and over, right? And that will spread. That way, when someone asks you to do something that you've never done before, but you've done 1,000 other things 1,000 times, you're like, well, I've already done all this. Why would I be afraid to do that? If you ask someone who's never really done anything their entire life to do something new, they're probably going to freeze or panic or slow down, or they're going to doubt themselves. So, action builds confidence. And shortfalls, and this is another for another webinar, but resilience is things that you, again, same thing. It's really the opposite of that. Like you've done a bunch of things a bunch of times, and then that's how you build that resiliency because you learn from your failures so you can continue to get back up and keep going. So those work together. Confidence and resilience are one of the same.
I got a question. Um, when does confidence reach cockiness? And is cockiness a bad thing?
I think it depends on your circle and your environment of who you're with. Because you're probably not going to look at yourself and be like, man, I'm really cocky. I mean, you might, but I highly doubt it. I bet you're gonna hear from other people first that you're being cocky. So I'm not necessarily a fan of calling someone cocky. Um, I think that, there's varying ways to show confidence. Um, but yeah, I think that, cockiness is doing something and believing, outwardly that you're really, really good at it. Like that's not self-talk anymore. That's like walking into a room, and be like, I'm the best person in here at this. No one can beat me. And if you say that, like I would say that's probably somewhat cocky. But if you go in there and you say that and you beat everybody in there, whatever it is, like you're very confident. You're kind of just an asshole though, because if you're really that good, you don't need to tell anybody. You can just go and do it. So I would just I wouldn't worry so much about being called cocky unless you're just really rubbing in everyone's faces that you're that good. But I think that's you're more of insecure than anything else. If you're really confident, you don't need to tell anybody how good you are. You'll just go out and do it. Maybe if you're trying to build a personal brand on the internet, you know, that's a little bit different. But I think just walking through life, no one's really going to call you cocky unless you're like just telling everyone how great you are, and then you're not even delivering what you say. Anything else?
I'm gonna keep asking if I got a lot. I just want to continue to pick your brain. So, talking a little bit of what Anthony said. What about the difference between like the guy who's like humble and the guy who doesn't like being humble? Because I could say that's definitely one of my flaws per se. Is I like, but the reason I speak things out loud is because I need to hold myself accountable. So if I say that I'm going to do something and I tell everyone I'm going to do it, I now got to hold myself to that level of accountability. So it
Right.
could come off a lot as cocky because I said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to go crush this, I'm going to crush that. But now, because I spoken it, I have to now go live that. Whereas I never really admired, and this is just my personal frames, I never really admired the humble guy who was like, no one knew his name. Because I always seem that if no one knows your name, how can you make an impact on the world? Whereas the guy who's loud and outspoken, he can have more influence on a lot of other people. Would you say that's a good thing or a bad thing? And how would you interpret that?
No, I think it's a good thing. It's just everybody's got their own personality and their own flavor of how they do things. If you're using it as an accountability piece, because like again, it comes down to your circle. If you go into a room with people, you don't know anybody there and they don't know you, and you're just like, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, I don't think that's not a normal thing. Um, Not that that's bad or that's good. I mean, I believe it's good, but that I'm just one man. But if you go into a room and you tell a bunch of people you're going to do something and then you start doing it, again, that's going to spread. They're going to be like, look at this guy. This guy just came in here. He said this, this, and this, and now he's actually doing it. He's taking the action. I mean, I'm sure we've all met people who said that, oh, I did this, I did that, or I'm going to do this. It's like, okay, well, show us. Like, and again, I don't, I can't, I think it's really hard to call someone cocky. I think they're either incompetent, or stupid. I don't think that cocky is not really a real thing to me personally. I've never looked at me like that dude's cocky. Because if he's coming off as cocky, that's kind of showing your insecurities. Like you're judging someone for being outwardly you know, good at what they do, and maybe they talk about it a little bit because again, maybe that's their self-talk. Self-talk doesn't always have to be eyes closed, whisper to yourself, or you're saying in your brain. Self-talk could be like, I walk into a room and be like, I'm going to choke every one of you out because I do jujitsu and I'm really good. That's what I do. Like is that cocky? I guess it could be if I'm going to choke you out and you don't like it, or you'd be like, "Damn, that's cool. I want to train with that dude. I want to test that." Right? Um, like I spent 12 years learning how to sneak into people's property or domicile and kill them, right? I'm not going to walk around and tell everybody that. I could just do it, right? Um, so there's a degree of like how much you say and also like how much you can back up. Because if I believe that I can do all these things, and I go and do them through action and prove it, that's not cocky. That's confidence. Right? And you can have silent confidence, you can have loud confidence. I think it's only cocky when you really just make a fool of yourself, and you piss off a bunch of people unnecessarily, and you can't back it up 100% of the time. Because again, if you can back it up 100% of the time, there's no need to tell anybody that. You already know it, right?
That was happening today when I was in the gym. Me and my training partner, both of us very naturally very loud people, but we both had very big competitions coming up. So while we were training and I was practicing my posing routine and stuff like that, I was just imagining myself beating Fing Fang and Ching Chang from China, saying he's done, he's coming, I'm coming for him, I'm not going to be stopped. And even though I'm in a subjective sport, I'm keeping that mindset that that Muhammad Ali, where he speaks that, I won't be beat. I'm coming after him no matter what. And that kind of drives me now to push even harder and hold myself more accountable. So, I could often come off as that loud douchebag in the gym. Fang Fang is done. Tell him he's washed up. He's finished. Might as well even show up, because I just feel like that is my way and I felt very fired up while saying that. I imagined myself, winning this contest. So, is that fall in line with the same principles you go along? Like, I know you guys are, quiet professionals, but I'm a loud douchebag. So,
Right. Well, I mean, that's more of like a requirement for my when I was a active duty Navy SEAL. I don't need to do that anymore. And if it fires you up and it makes you more motivated and you're able to fully tap into that discipline and that mindset that you are a winner, that you're going to go and do whatever it is, and you're going to crush everybody that you go against, who gives a shit, right? Like it works for you. You're competing for you, and emphasis on competing. Like you're going against another man in whatever it is, whether it's bodybuilding or combat sports or war, or if you're building a business, you're competing with other people. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. I think that you should be doing that. Like, hey, guess what? I'm coming for you. Keep your eyes on me, because whether it's a mental warfare tactic or you need it for yourself, there's a benefit to that, because now that person might take their eyes off of whatever it is they're looking at and look at you and be like, for a second, be like, oh, damn, here they go. I mean, you could there's tons of videos on like Olympic swimmers where they're like checking over their shoulder, like to see if that's their opponent is coming up next to them or behind them or whatever. Like the people that do that, those are the ones that lose. So it again, there's tactics to this as well. If you want to be loud and that's your tactic to try to knock someone off their path, by all means. Again, it's competition. Competition within, within reason should not be fair.
So I actually was thinking about this today. Um, is there a time where confidence is unrealistic? So I'm supposed to be competing in a bodybuilding show in September. Like I'm only 7 weeks out, but I fucked up. Like this week, I'm in Italy right now, and there's like basically no gym. There's no everything got messed up for me, and I got set back a little bit. Now I don't know how well I'm going to do, and I want to be confident, and I want to train confident. But if we look at it on a realistic standpoint, I don't know if I'm going to place very well. So how should I be thinking? Should I be confident here? Should I be realistic? I don't really know how to think.
I think it comes again, I think, on the most fundamental level, saying you're not confident that you can go there and do well, you're setting yourself up for failure. Like you're imagining yourself going to this competition and not doing well, which is going to create doubt and maybe limit yourself of, you said you can't find a gym, but I guarantee there's somewhere you can find something to do. You can find
I
a
have a ground. Yeah, I've been
yeah.
relying on push-ups,
Yeah.
lunges, like taking the luggage over my head and just doing squats like that and stuff. I've
Yeah.
been relying on all that, but
Mhm.
all these guys, they're not missing, important meals that I'm missing because like I didn't have the food near me. Like the nearest grocery store is 20 minutes away.
Right.
So it's difficult. It's not that I can't do it. I went today, I bought a whole bunch of stuff, but I still missed this 1 week. So it's like it's it's just the fact that there's people that are pulling ahead when I was already behind. So
Yeah.
I'm really trying to just like stay confident, but I don't know if overconfidence is good. I'm not sure.
I mean, in that sense, I would lean into the overconfidence. Try to push that line, try to be cocky and believe in yourself and tell yourself that you're going to win. It doesn't matter, like, oh, good, these guys got a week ahead of me. Awesome. Now I'm going to work that much harder. I'm going to be that much more disciplined. I'm going to do another set of push-ups. I'm going to do this and that. Or I'm going to maybe you spend this week, refining your recovery. If you can't go and lift like you're supposed to, you can't eat like you're supposed to. Maybe you focus on some of those other areas that you have been neglecting in the past, right? Let every setback be a stepping stone towards where you want to go. Maybe you spend some more time stretching, doing your mobility. Maybe you do some more of that breathing um, stuff. Maybe you try to catch up on some sleep if that's possible. There's a lot of things you can still do and believe that you're going to win no matter what. Um, and it's not, they're not going to take you out back and shoot you in the back of the head if you don't get first place, right? So you're going to gain something, you're going to learn something, and it's going to help that planning process for the next show that you do. So don't think that just because you're behind, allegedly, you're not in those people's head. Maybe they got something going on too. Again, I don't know what lens you're looking at this through. Maybe unless you're with those people every single day, which I don't think you are, because then you would be able to do the same things that you think that they are. If you're looking at their social media or there's a group chat or something, there's like, oh, I did this, I did that, and you're comparing. It's the same thing as you're looking in the other swim lane. You're seeing where they're at. It doesn't matter where they're at. It really doesn't. Their successes do absolutely nothing for you, and their failures do absolutely nothing for you. You got to lock in on what you got to do, what you can do, where you are right now, and let that fuel itself. And you can still use them as extrinsic motivation, be like, oh, Billy is doing this, Joe's doing that, Frank is over here hitting the gym like he's doing 2 a days now and he was only doing one, and I'm doing push-ups on my floor, and I gotta go 20 minutes to get the grocery store. Like this is ridiculous. Like that's not going to help you. So just continue to believe that you're the best person out there. You're going to win this show no matter what, and that this week off is a blessing. Reframe that to find the positives of it. Those people don't get a week off. They're stuck in the same exact track that they always have. They're going to get complacent. They're going to get stuck in that same place. Um, I'm sure there's a similar thing with bodybuilding like there is in combat sports, but there's like we could do cross training. If I train at the same gym with the same people every single day, and I feel like I'm getting really good, and then I go on a trip to go see my, long lost aunt in another state, and I'm like, oh, let me pop into this gym, and I go in there, and I just get my shit pushed in by a bunch of people who are, a belt or two below me. I'm gonna be like, what the hell's going on? It's like, well, yeah, because I didn't have that experience. I was only training, doing the same exact thing every single day, very disciplined. I showed up, I was early to class, I trained with my partners the way I'm supposed to, and then I left and I went home and I did what I was supposed to do. I'm feeling great. And then I go to a different gym and I get destroyed. Like that will happen. That's so just look at this as an opportunity to expand your horizons, get some new experience, and do something a little bit different and just keep that same motivation, the same discipline, and the same structure, and you'll be totally fine. All right, we'll probably do one or two more.
Hey, Alex, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I am.
My question is, can you speak a little bit on the importance of maintaining your frame, maintaining your calmness, your patience inside of high pressure situations?
Yeah. So I do have another a whole another PowerPoint really on emotional regulation and emotional intelligence. But I can pull some notes from that. Really, I think that just comes down back to the arousal control. I saw you messaged that you were in. I don't know if you missed that. I don't know what time you logged in, but did you get the arousal control slide?
I came in about 10 minutes late.
Okay. Either way, it doesn't matter. I'll just go over it. Yeah, so I think that really that would just be arousal control, um, and just, pause before things, think about them, and then have a couple touch points mentally of what you can do to kind of stay in control. Um, I'm going to assume here that this is something to do like with a relationship, not necessarily like a gym or a work thing.
More specifically, working with colleagues inside of a hierarchy.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And how do you stay in control emotionally? Is that what you're saying?
Well, what are some of the benefits just to kind of reassure yourself that the best way to handle these situations is staying inside of your frame and not necessarily matching the energy that you may feel from external stimulus?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that would, you gotta, that's where the confidence piece comes and you gotta believe in yourself that you know the right answer, you know the right thing. And then, back to the Abraham Lincoln quote of like, you have 2 ears, one mouth, right? L listen twice as much as you speak, take information in, and then that's when you start doing that box breathing, that 4 seconds in, 4 second hold, 4 second exhale, 4 second at the bottom before you respond. I mean, you can pause, right? You can breathe as you're speaking and that'll help you slow down, and just try to maintain physical control of yourself first, by controlling your breathing, and then listening and then responding. And against, if you're in a spot where it gets super uncomfortable, go right back to stay in your swim lane. Like, all right, hey, you're in charge of, finances, I'm in charge of operations. I hear you. I understand, validate them, and then go be like, look, that's not my expertise. I'm going to lean on you for that and try to build that person back up while still speaking slowly and listening to them so that you can kind of maintain that control, that authority, that posture, and then you can kind of build from there. Does that help?
So it's essentially a little bit of understanding where you're strong,
Hmm.
staying inside of your frame, and understanding it's okay to be the last to act.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to not act at all. You want to show, some sort of competency and confidence that like, hey, not only do I belong here, but like I'm value added. I'm an asset to this organization, to this team, to whatever it is, to this project. Um, Here are my strengths. Don't come at me for this. I won't come at you for that. Right? That's not fair. We can let's work together. Let's hear each other out. And again, just try to find ways to ground yourself in that sense.
That makes sense.
Cool. All right. We are coming up on the hour. If we don't have anything else, I'll close this out with just a couple of things. Anyone else have anything? Okay. All right, cool. Well, yeah, anyways, again, my name's Alex Rogers. I have Alex Rogers Coaching. I'm on Instagram at Alex Rogers Coaching, and then my website is alexrogerscoaching.com. After this is over, I'll have this uploaded onto my YouTube channel, which again is the same thing. Just go into YouTube, search Alex Rogers Coaching. You can watch this back, listen to your questions. Um, in my responses. You can put in the chat. I'll probably see it at some point if the comments are on. Um, and I say that because recently YouTube is some of my videos they don't allow comments on. I'm not sure why. Or just go on to my website, schedule a phone call with me through my Calendly link, or just send me an email, or just send me a DM on Instagram. But thank you so much for coming in here, giving me an hour of your time on a Sunday. It really means a lot, and I really appreciate it. I hope this helps you guys. And until then, hit me up outside of this, and then probably in a few weeks, we'll do another one. All right. Thank you.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, guys, before we sign off, for those who watch the podcast, we've talked about this before, but Alex and I are trying to work on really building a community of people. When we have a variety of people in here, a lot of we got some military, we have athletes, we have bodybuilders, and we're looking at potentially putting together a Facebook group where we can all kind of work together. We can talk about our wins. Where you just build a community. So if you guys are interested in that and would like to be part of the community, DM me. I'll get with Alex, and we'll talk about what we can do weekly, maybe do a monthly meeting, stuff like that. Really build a mastermind of people that are just trying to achieve to get to the next level. As a IFBB pro, I have my lessons on winning as well. So we want to work together so you guys can get to the level that you're trying to get to. We have a lot to offer. So message me if you guys want to do that, and I'll get with Alex and we'll talk about how we'll run it.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Tibbs. I appreciate that. I forgot about that. But okay, yeah, hit up either one of us and we'll take those next steps together. Again, thank you all for your time. I really appreciate it.